after the pre-season, at least on the outside, wasn't convincing. A result like that in Sydney, what's that do to reinforce the players' thought about the way they've been directed this year?
Yeah, it certainly reinforces belief in how we're training and how we've been preparing to play, and to do it for 4 quarters against a very strong, competitive side like Sydney is a great reward for the playing group.
Notice where Ken said really doesn't mean anything unless it's repeated. He wants consistency. So how do you drive that? Not only for Fremantle but the weeks to come.
Yeah, focus on what we do next. So move on. And today we'll move on. We'll review this game and then move on quickly to the next one and preparing for Fremantle on Sunday.
What worked? What have you looked at so far and decided this was good?
Yeah, certainly the contest and the centre bounce worked well for us. I thought our forward pressure was very good, and the way we got back in defence and helped out, to keep and restrict Sydney to 12 goals on 61 entries was a good result.
You mentioned the centre bounce. How much nicer is it to have Paddy Ryder in there?
Yeah, Paddy certainly helps. I think having those bigger mids help as well, and they've really bought into what Vossi's been doing with them, to have Brad Ebert in there more, to have Sam Powell-Pepper in there as well. Suddenly you've got, your lightest midfielder is 87 kilos and your second lightest midfielder is the ruckman. So it's good to have some good size in there.
Did you expect Powell-Pepper to do as well as what he did?
Yeah, we had a very good last JLT against Hawthorn. I did say, I think on the plane back, to Vossi, did you know that he could kick the ball 60 metres? Because none of us actually really seen it before, and then he's done it twice, kicking for goals in round 1, which was pretty handy. So, he's good, strong competitor, and he was very good for us.
What's he done for Ollie Wines in the sense that Ollie's probably felt with his big body he needed to carry that image? Now there's someone else. Does it free up Ollie and his thinking about how he approaches his football?
I've been really impressed with Ollie's last 2 games. In particular, is the way he's adjusted his positioning around stoppage, the way he's working with Brad Ebert. I think they're working a nice combination in there, and then getting Paddy Ryder back in there pretty much full time the last 2 weeks, and well supported by Jackson and Charlie. It's a good mix for us in there.
What does Powell-Pepper do to that mix, particularly for Ollie?
He adds a super competitive edge, someone that's repeat contests, likes hitting bodies. You've got a lot of good competitors in there that are a big size. We've got a couple of 90-plus kilo midfielders and Brad Ebert, who's not far away.
Does that have the physical toll off Ollie a little bit and allowing him to play a little bit of a different role than he last year?
Yeah, and I think the group in there at the moment, they're working really well together. So that's been a positive for our playing group.
What about the back line? You talked about only 12 goals and 61 entries. Tom Cleary had a big job on
Yeah, he did.
Franklin. How do you think he went on with?
I think Franklin was pretty good. But I think the great thing that Tom brings, it means that Tom Jonas and Jack Homch can help out a bit more in defence and get off and support the rest of the group. So, Franklin's going to kick goals no matter who he plays on. So, we chopped him out a bit late and put someone else onto him. But I thought Clark competed really well and was there. But, sometimes Franklin was too good.
Now, what are you telling the defenders about marking contests? Because there seems to be a pretty strong message from the umpires. They'll penalise the slightest touch on the forward.
Yeah.
What are you telling them?
Be very careful. There are a lot more free kicks happening for goals, especially in marking contests. So, you probably take it as it goes a little bit, because sometimes the season starts this way and it changes as the year progresses. So you adjust to what the rules feel like at the moment.
Is it too hard for him now? You're a member of it.
Yeah, there were probably a couple on both that both teams got on the weekend where you're like, the one on Jack Homch was when he's going back with a flight, was the one you don't expect to get paid. But we adjust to what we're doing and try and have as few one-on-one marking contests as we can in our back line.
How much easier is your job with Tom Jonas back there after he interrupted last year?
Yeah, well, his pre-season was good, and he was good till round 9. But yeah, the suspension didn't help much after that. But Tommy's been very good for us the last 2 weeks. I thought he was excellent on Saturday, and to have Darcy playing really good football as well back there. It's a youngish defensive group, but they're great to coach, and they do the best they can each week.
He just adds that grunt, doesn't he?
He's a good defender. What he can do is he can defend big people. He can play on Kurt Tippett, and you can, if Nat Fyfe goes forward this week, he can play on a Nat Fyfe as well, and can play on a good variety of opponents.
So Robbie Gray, a bit of a knock on Saturday, had just the 8 possessions. Is he all good? Or?
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, part of it was his role. He spent most of the game in the forward line, and it is a lot harder to touch a footy in the forward line than it is in the midfield. And his pre-season's been a little bit interrupted, so his attitude was excellent. Just probably the role didn't help him get the ball quite so much, and playing against some good defenders too in Sydney and Nick Smith.
Is there an indication moving back into the midfield like this weekend, or will he still...
I think he'll you'd imagine he'll play a bit more time in the midfield, but the 3 guys in there have been doing an excellent job. Ebert, Wines and Pal Pepper.
How would you go about?
There's a fair bit of...
I think so. Yeah, no, he was fine. Yeah.
How would you go about fitting Cracker and Impey back in?
Yeah, well, there's a chance one or both could come back in. The more players we've got available, the better. I think the great thing at the moment is I think we've got 42 or 43 available for selection this week out of 45. So that the playing group's in a really good place, and the coaches have nearly all the players to pick from. So that's good for coaches.
I guess the difficulty is such a great team effort. Maybe someone misses out.
Yeah, and that happens, and we'll make the right decision for the club and the team.
Talk about them being in a good place physically. They're also in a much better place mentally. I feel that they're a freer group, not worn down by the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think the ego takes a hit from the last couple of years, and we're back to realising this is hard work, this game, and the guys' attitude pre-season has been excellent. We've thrown a few new ideas and at them, and the guys have bought into the way we're trying to play, and it hasn't all worked perfectly pre-season, but we're starting to get some and see some change now. So it's about continuing that and continuing to do it well week in, week out.
Just defensively, if you go back to that, with the rules as they are, with marking contests, how critical is it to work as a group? Because you are height challenged down there, so
yeah.
Is that making it more critical that you've got to work better?
Yeah, I think we're... I'm not so fussed about the height thing. I think there might be some games this year where we do bring in a taller defender, but I think if you can get 2 players to the marking contest as often as you can, then it makes it pretty hard for the... it doesn't matter how big the other opposition forward is, you don't outmark 2 too often. So, and I think more often than not, it's not height that beats you; it's whether a player's good or not. When they're tall and they're good, that makes it a bit more challenging. But I think Tommy Jonas and Jack Homch have been playing on taller people most of their life, and we've got a lot of high backs too. I think every defender had a mark intercept on the weekend, so we get good support from the whole group.
How do you deal with Jack Homch on going to a boundary line? Have you been able to help him through that?
Which one, the deliberate one?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. Yeah, I saw it, but you just move on. I don't know if it was there or not. I didn't really bother about looking too closely. I was probably...
But you have to teach your players something else?
Yeah, well, it's the same with the deliberate rush points. It's the same with the marking contest where they're paying a bit more. You adjust to work at what's going to be most successful for the team, and if that's the way it's going to be paid, well, then you're looking to ensure that we're not giving away shots on goal to the opposition 10 metres out.
As much as it's good, back to Pal Pepper, as much as it's good to have that body there and all that, how long can he go in his first year before he needs a break? Is that something?
I don't know. Hopefully Darren Burgess keep him going. I guess we sort of cross that bridge when it comes to it. But the guys do have modified pre-seasons where those young guys probably done about 70% of the work that the older guys do. Now that he's trained every session, but just reducing his workload slightly, and that'll be something that sometimes comes and turns up halfway through the season where a player might start to flag, and we make the necessary adjustment when that happens.
Would you tried a 60 metre in your first game?
I don't think I kicked one that far in my whole life. So particularly the one in the last quarter, that was a fair roost. So yeah, keep doing it. I'm happy. I mean, look, our goal kicking was pretty good on the weekend. So probably I wouldn't expect our goal kicking to be at that level every week, as much as Trent Henschel might like it. We probably kick 4 goals from outside 50. So you've got to take that into consideration sometimes and go, well, it was our day.
That's a real generic one. After a win like that, what's the coming to work on Monday here? What's the mood around the place?
I think it's positive, but the players and the coaches, we want to be realists and go, we've only done it once, and we didn't have a win at that level all last year, and we want to win as often as we can this year. So today it's back to work, and it's working on our game, working to improve. There's some areas in our game on the weekend where we could have done a fair bit better, and we're a bit lucky that City didn't hurt us. So we're looking to improve those areas.